Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome back to That Podcast here on YouTube. Mm. Ah, yeah, I know. I'm kind of obsessed with Miracleman, Marvel. It's partially because I read the original series back in the day from start to finish, loved it, then kind of forgot about it because it just ended because Eclipse went under and nothing was happening. And like McFarlane got a hold of it and he didn't really, and now there's still really nothing happening. I mean, Marvel has had the rights to do. I mean, Neil Gaiman's supposed to be finishing his story, but he's too busy. Who knows? Probably too busy working on that Sandman TV show, which I have a feeling is not going to be worth a fuck. But I'm of the mindset that Neil Gaiman's Sandman, that 2/3 of it are really good, and 1/3 of it's just pure shit that he padded the thing out to make more money because I don't know how many people know this. He had a deal with DC. He had a very weird deal. First thing, and he's one of the few that had this because he brought in so much money to him. When he left DC, they are not allowed to use any of the characters he created himself without asking permission, and most of the time he grants it. And that's why you don't see Death popping up that often. You don't see the new Dream or any of them characters. Like Destiny can be used because he appeared before then. Something like Cain and Abel, The other thing is part of the deal was he got a percentage. A bigger percentage of most comic creators. And most comic creators, I'll put it this way. Real simple. A big time creator, let's just take like a Tom McFarlane back in the day. That Spider-Man #1, and you paid a couple bucks for it, probably out of that couple bucks, he got 50 cents. Neil Gaiman had a deal where he was getting a little bit more than that because Sandman, once it took off, the single issues were selling great, but then trades were blowing up and they were being bought by people who did not read comics. A perfect example, my high school English teacher read it because she's somewhere, what did you read? And I was like, read it, you'll like it. And she's like, ooh. And then every month she kind of knew, I don't know how she knew, she might have knew when the issue came out. And the next day, if the issue came out on a Monday, when I went to class on Tuesday, I better have it with me. And even if I had read it yet, I handed it over to her and she'd read it. But Kimota, the Miracleman Companion. This is from, was it Twomorrows? This, for a while there, was actually expensive as hell. Like, average price was 30, 40 bucks. It was out of print. There's stuff in here you don't find anyplace else. And people were wanting it. Well, I got lucky. There's a great comic shop on the coast. I think they're still there. 5 Alarm Comics. I got to look and see. I know they were as of last time I checked. I went in there one day, and I'd seen it on the shelf last time I was in there. Just didn't have the money on me. I had like $10, and I figured the guys want 30 or 40. The separate price is $13, as you can see there. Miracle Woman by Alex Ross. So I go in there and I grab this, and I started digging through the back issue bins, and I'm looking and looking. I found like both issues of the Max Immortal. Was it Max Immortal Brat Pack crossover? Yeah. And he's like, oh, Miracleman. He's like, yeah. He goes, well, look. And the guy told me, I have a bunch of file copies. He goes, you know what those are? I was like, yes. And for those who don't know, file copies, most comic companies, when they publish a book, they have one copy. They save for themselves. They put it in a file so they can check it for reference. And those are always going to be usually 90% of the time, be in amazing shape. He goes, well, I got some file copies. And sometimes they save more than one. He goes, I have some file copies. I'm like, how did you get Eclipse file copies? He goes, oh, when the Eclipse went under, they owed Mitch Bird, who's a guy who lives down in that area, and friend of the comic shop owner, owed him a pile of money. I've known Mitch for a while. So they go like, we can't pay you, we'll give you some comics. Well, they gave him, I have been told 3 complete runs of Miracleman. And other stuff. Well, he was smart, and I don't know how much Mitch figured out. He was smart, knew this should be worth a decent amount eventually. He held on to all of them. And this comic shop had one full, as of then, they were missing like 1 or 2 issues of having a full run. Miracleman file copies are put up, and basically this kind of thing, you went in there and asked, he'd tell you. He goes, what do you need? I was like, oh man, I need one of the more expensive issues. He goes, oh, 15? I was like, no, not 15. I got 15. And I told him my story. Back in the day, I read it all the way through. Bought the trades, bought the hardcover. I love the fuck out of this series. Bought the mini-series, bought the 3D special. I didn't know about the 2D version back then. Well, then, girl I was with at the time, got pissed off at me over something minor. I think I forgot to put the toilet seat down. Something minor. Maybe I forgot to lock the doors I left that morning. I come home from work, and there is About 75% of my comic collection in the big white boxes in the yard, and they're on fire. She burned them up. So I started collecting Miracleman again. And by the time I started doing it again, prices had went up. So I was like, no, I don't need 15. I got 15. I think it's the one next to the last issue, or the last issue of Alan Moore's run, where Kid Miracleman destroys London. That issue that goes for a fortune. And I don't know why, because the print run's still fairly high then. I need the last issue. He's like, ooh. I was like, yeah. He goes, well, I can work you a deal. I'm like, okay. He goes, I'll go get it and put it on the counter. We'll talk when we get to the counter. So I got the counter. I had a stack of stuff. And he knew me. He knew I only came in like 4 or 5 times a year. I came from way up where I live. It's 3 hours to that shop. I come in, I go down, spend time with family, go to the shop. He's like, all right. He goes, I go, well, I'm put Kimota on. I was like, look, I know this sells for like 30. I'll offer you 25. He's like, no, man, cover price. I'm like, you sure? I go, you can easily flip this on eBay for 30, 40 bucks. He goes, no, cover price. And then that final issue of Miracleman, he cut me a deal. That's all I'm going to say. It was a really, really good deal, because at the time that issue was guiding for, hell, I want to say like 40, 50 bucks. There's probably nobody ordering. This is not pristine. This copy, whew. And I've been tempted. I don't send comics in to get slabbed. I just don't care for that shit. But I now have 3 copies of that last issue. I got 2 of them actually through comic shop cheap bins. They're not mint. They're near mint, a little bit below. That one I got that 5 copy. That's a 9. That's a 9.6. A Kimota, Alan Moore, John Toddleben, Alan Davis, Neil Gaiman, Mark Buckingham. Introduction by Alice Ross. Nice cover. And this is just this book. This came out in 2001, so 20 years ago. It's just articles about the whole history. Here, yeah, that's Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol's in Miracleman. What Miracleman, if you don't know what it is that Captain Marvel, the Shazam. God, there's so many name changes on these characters now. Okay, back in the day, in the Golden Age, the character everybody knows as Shazam now was known as Captain Marvel. Shazam was just his power word. He says Shazam, he becomes a little kid. Billy Batson becomes Captain Marvel. Well, when DC sued, because they said it's too close to Superman, and that company, which I think was Fawcett, I'm pretty sure it was Fawcett, went under. Over in the UK, they were sending their stuff over to the UK and it's being printed over there. Well, whatever company it was in the UK that was doing it was like, fuck this is a great job. We're just changing us stuff so we don't get sued. And they created Marvelman. And that's where you end up with Kid Miracleman, a Kid Marvelman who was basically their version of Captain Marvel Jr. And then Young Marvelman, who was a sex-changed version of Mary Marvel. Well, they did this for a while, and then the series just kind of ended. Then in the early 80s, Warrior Magazine started up, and Alan Moore was asked to work with it. And he's like, what about I do Marvelman? But here's the thing. He's forgotten his power word. He don't even remember. He has dreams of this stuff. He don't think it's real. And that's the premise. This guy, Mike Moran, he's forgotten the word that turns it from regular Mike Moran into Marvelman, or a.k.a. Miracleman, because it became Miracleman when it got reprinted over here in the States because they didn't want issues with Marvel. His word was Kimota, which is atomic with a K instead of a C backwards. And the Warrior stuff did good over here. I can remember actually the comic shop I went to, which was run by a guy who was from the UK. I think he'd married like an Air Force lady. He was getting copies in and told me, he's like, you will like this. And I had an issue or 2. Then when Miracleman started, he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, definitely put that on my list. And it just blew up. There's Alan Moore. And Alan Moore wrote like the first 15, 16 issues. He had a whole storyline planned down. And in his storyline, Mike Moran gets his powers back. He finds out his word. He starts doing all this stuff. Oh, Jesus. Look at that. That painting. And what it was is, you find out that what it was is that Kid Miracleman, Young Miracleman, and Miracleman, they had these powers. It's from this alien technology the government had gotten hold of. And they could switch places with these more powerful bodies. They realized they were too powerful. They sent them up and nuked them. They just assumed that Kid and Young had died and Miracleman was stuck in a human body. You find out a little ways in that Kid Miracleman had stayed in his super form and was just corrupt. And that was the whole conflict. Basically, Miracleman finding out his origins, going to take on Dr. Gorgonzola. And I love this Miracleman, what Alan Moore said. And all that. And at the end, he ends up fighting Miracleman tries to take over London, and it's bloody. So, I mean, it's some gorgeous artwork. The other thing, Miracleman, everything that got a little bit of boost is issue 9. Issue 9 has a scene where Mike Moran's wife, who they had sex while he was in the Miracleman form, she's pregnant and gives birth to a baby. And it's very graphic. Like, you see the vagina popping open and the head coming out. And it was the artist, who I think was Rick Veitch. Pretty sure it was Rick Veitch. Rick Veitch worked on it for a couple of issues. Copied it from a book you find in the library. The thing about Miracleman was that Warrior didn't last and didn't get to complete the run. They did part of it, and then Warrior folded. Heard it was just weren't making enough money. Heard they got sued. Don't know which is true. When Eclipse started, they had about 5 or 6 issues worth of, because Miracleman was like 8 pages every couple of weeks in Warrior. They had enough pages where they could do 4 or 5 issues, and the rest of it was done by Alan Moore and other artists. So like Rick Veitch did some work. A lot of people worked on it. Look at that. That's from issue 15. Look at that. Now the name Miracleman, as you can see right there on that tombstone, popped up in an issue of Marvel Superheroes number 388, a Marvel UK weekly comic book title, written by Alan Moore, drawn by Alan Davis. It was a Captain Britain story. And there is, and you can see it here too, you see that little girl next to... That is Miracleman's kid who grows incredibly fast and is incredibly intelligent. What happens is after London gets destroyed, Miracleman, Miracle Woman, take over the world and turn it into a utopia. And that's where Alan Moore ended it. Neil Gaiman came in and worked from that plot line for 2 different... He had 3 storylines planned out. 2 of them got done. I think maybe 1 chapter of the 3rd one was started. And that was, how do you deal with a utopia? Alan Moore's original proposal. That's Maggie barking at the mail. Mail lady today. I had to look and see. We have 2 different mail delivery people here. One's a woman, one's a man. So I love that cover. That was the U.S. issue number 1 cover. Chronology of everything. Let me get this. Look at these covers. And there is one issue of the original Miracleman run that's just reprints of the old Marvel Man stories from the UK. The ones from like the 60s. There's all the covers. And then I'll show you. That right there is the last issue. I cannot read. That print is small. It's like 26, 27. That's the 3D special. These are the different trades. Eclipse was smart. They spun it off and tried to do as much as they can with it. Gary Leach, art. And they interviewed almost everybody who ever worked on this. V for Vendetta, which also appeared in Warrior and got finished by DC. The Warp Smiths, which are connected into it. Marvel Man Index, Miracle Man in it, unpublished issue 24 is the last issue. August of 93, wow. And by the end there, it was not coming out very often. Let me see here, look. Hell. It wasn't, okay, let's see. So August 85 was the first issue. October was the second issue, wow. So it's every other month. No, November, December, issue 4. January, okay, it's coming out fairly regularly. Oh, no, there's a big gap there. 6 was February. 7 was April. There's a big gap till 8, which is June. Then July. Then from 9 to 10, went from July to December. Then December to May is the next big gap. May to September. It never came out on time. But look at these gaps. Let me see, where's the... 16 is the last issue of Moore's run. Okay. December of 89 was the last issue by Moore, and it's got John Tottleman. Or June of 90 is the first one by Neil Gaiman. Mark Buckingham, if you know this, he did a lot of the art on Fables. So June, that's what, 6 months. August, so 2 months later, and then November of 90. Then March of 91 is the next one, July of 91, August of 91, June of 92, almost a year later, and August of 93. Over a year later. This is not coming out even close to on time. Issue 25 is complete. Just never remember. Issue 26, the script's been written. They got the books. the Apocalyptica, I don't know how you say that shit, Marvelman family, which as far as I know, Miracleman family just reprinted the 50s shit. Miracleman Triumphant never came out. 3D was just a bunch of the old stuff done in 3D. And then all the other stuff that's relevant to this. Interview with Gary Leach. And this is one of those books that now the price has come down on it. Because sadly, the way Marvel handled the Miracleman reprints really hurt it. I mean, part of it's not their fault, part of it is because, like, Alan Moore's like, I don't pay you. Because the series is weird. Like, Alan Moore and the artist own the rights. I don't know how that worked out. And when he left, or maybe just the writers, whatever, when he left, he gave his portion of the rights to Neil Gaiman. Todd McFarlane bought up Eclipse thinking he'd get all the rights. Turned out he didn't get them. He did a little bit of character, and Neil Gaiman was like, fuck you, you still love me. You know, you fucked me over on, was it Spawn number 9 with Angela? I want my fucking characters. And that was the holder for us. That's why the issues started going up. And it became that's when it became popular again, because most of your comic fans, especially in the 90s when that boom was going, they weren't reading Miracleman. They didn't know what the fuck Miracleman was. The comic shop I went to, I know for a fact that after Moore left, they were ordering at most 4 copies of each issue. 2 of those were for pull lists, the other 2 went on the shelf. Well, Marvel finally worked everything out. But here's the thing, Alan Moore would let his name be printed on the show that says the original writer. And if you look back on my channel, I got a Miracleman hardcover trade video flip through. It's the first 4 issues, I think it is. That's the thing. Marvel did these. They reprinted them. They charged like $4. It was 1 issue each with some extras, but they're in bags. So you can't even look through them, and it's the original writer. I know a lot of comic shops, especially comic shops that aren't run by people old enough to remember this series. They didn't know what the fuck. They didn't order it. I mean, I got the hardcover trade discounted for like $5 because I wanted it. Oh, this page. I love this page. That is Evelyn Cream, who's an assassin. Thank you, Steve. You've been terribly helpful. Remember how I promised not to kill you? Yeah. I was lying, Steve, and he kills him. Oh, there's such great stuff in this. Chuck Austin. Back before he was a writer who people hated, he was an artist. Oh, Rick Veitch, interview about that. That's the last part of the childbirth issue. John Toddleman, who you know from Swamp Thing, and I love this piece of art with Swamp Thing and Abigail and Miracleman. A lot of good art in this. There's a lot of good art. More Entitlement's Lost Lux Grievous story. It's okay. It ain't really got anything to do with Miracleman, but it was something to help sell this. In 2001, nobody gave a fuck about Miracleman. It was a little bit after that when the shit blew up. Entitlement. Kat Yondrau. Or is it Ironwood? I'm not sure. She was working at Eclipse and this was coming out. Neil Gaiman, who was supposed to be working on and finishing his stories, but I don't see it happening. I really don't think Marvel's pushing it because they paid they're just unpublished 25 some of the pages from it. They paid a fortune because I think they own the rights now, and it just didn't do real good in reprints. But yeah, just a great book. Just a great. If you're into Miracleman, this is definitely worth tracking down and picking up. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Remember, if you did, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, all the other bullshit. Talk to everybody later. Bye bye.